2017, a year of expansion for Larkfleet Homes. What is your strategy?
Well, we're a medium-sized developer based in Lincolnshire at the moment, with one other office in the southwest division. But we're looking to expand further on the expansion that we've taken from last year into this. Over the last 12 months, we've doubled in our output, which is very encouraging in the market we're in at the moment. But we're seeking to at least try and do that again over the next 12 months by a combination of organic growth from the main area we've operated in to date, plus the expansion of the new region we've opened, plus opening other regions around the country as we expand.
So what do you think are the biggest influences on the housing market for 2017?
I think it really remains more of the same. We've got funding and making sure funding is available for house purchasers and housing developers to invest in new projects. Importantly, financing for purchasers and ability to obtain mortgages. So the schemes such as the Help to Buy, which are there and committed by the government until 2021, have to continue. It's such a big part of our business and of the developers' business that mortgage availability remains. And in terms of investment for ourselves into new projects, we're happy to expand, open new sites, increase outlets. But again, financing and funding for that is key and critical, and part of that is really what the government can do to help small and medium-sized developers access funding at competitive terms in order to encourage us to invest.
How do you choose which areas you're going to expand into? Presumably there's quite a lot of research that has to go on, or is the market just so rampant at the moment you can almost move to any region?
Well, across the country, the market is buoyant, and that would be widespread. But we sort of focus on areas which are similar to our home market of operating in Lincolnshire and North Cambridgeshire, which is what we're used to. So we look around the countries for areas which have the same demographics, same market levels, same costing levels. But that's what we know. So that's why we have opened up in the southwest, which is a jump across the country in geographic terms, but it's a very similar market to what we're normally used to, and similar pattern for Norfolk and Suffolk.
Larkfleet Homes have got their foot on the accelerator as far as expanding this year, but are the brakes on the whole system, the planning, is planning the real problem at the moment?
Planning is key to any developer, not just Larkfleet, and it's all about investment decisions and where we invest and where we go. So yes, we will go to areas which we think are more up to date and forward thinking as ourselves in how they're wanting to develop their areas. So any ideas, any initiatives which will make planning easier attracts us. And it has to be, because if we're operating out of 8 or 9 outlets at the moment, to achieve our planning and growth aspirations, we need to be operating out to 20 outlets. So we just need to be doing that year in, year out.
Looking at the website, looking at the types of developments you have, I mean, they do seem to be quite distinctive. It's not like the factory farm or the conveyor belt type of buildings that you have. I mean, is this the characteristic of the niche players, the smaller builders?
I think it has to be. We have to make ourselves distinguishable from the larger PLC developers who, as you say, they have their product, they have their place, and they have their strategy, and their strategy is to build thousands of houses per annum, and to do that cost effectively they have to sort of limit their range. We have to make ourselves different, we have to present something different in order to be able to compete. So we feel as though we add quality both to the house type design itself and the specification and how the house looks, but also how that house sits in the schemes that we developed. They're not all cheap by jowl, they're not all on top of each other. We try and create a bit more space and a sense of place to live in, which is hopefully more attractive to purchasers.
I believe that you've got a unique solution at Larkfleet as far as potential flooding is concerned. You can tell us about that?
Yes, well, this is a sort of an embryonic idea, but it's starting to hit the ground now. It's flooding and development in floodplains is a very emotive issue, and quite clearly you only have to look at recent news stories and see the distress that's caused to people whose houses are flooded. And there's obviously clearly a lot of objection to building in floodplain areas, understandably. So what we've tried to develop and have patented a new house type design, which effectively is what we call the elevating house. And it's primarily for developing in floodplain areas, such that if the area does flood, the house just doesn't get submerged. The house lifts itself off a hydraulic jack platform above the floodwaters. And that's in development. We've got the first planning permission for a sample house to be built as a test. And we're just at the point of starting to initiate that build, so we can actually look at it, see how it works, and then sort of develop that for rolling out in the future and convincing authorities that this is an answer to increasing supply in their areas without the risk that they perceive. And what's interesting and different to other flood houses out there at the moment is we can link this technology into basic phone app. So even if you're away abroad on holiday, you read the news, oh my word, my town's flooding, you press your app and the house will lift whilst you're not there. So you don't have to be there to control that. If you are there and you're living in it, the technology is that we will be able to generate freshwater supply, so that if you're trapped for a couple of days in there, you can survive. So that's really interesting for us, and if we can get that right, that will open up a lot of opportunity to develop areas which otherwise would be great areas to live, but are restricted by flood at the moment.
So science fiction becomes science fact.
It's the way it's going, and it's those sort of ideas which is unlocking the land supply to generate the extra houses that the country needs, because there's quite a lot of land in the country which is restricted by flood zones, and if this is a novel way to unlock some of that, it hopefully will help the supply side of things.
Thank you. Does feed through to the type of communities, the new communities that are created?
Well, it's the feedback we get from purchasers and in the sales office that they're attracted to our schemes because of what we're offering, and they are generally, I would say, nicer environments to live within, and people will actively move into those areas.
Because that's the thing with the internet now, you can actually choose, and sort of probably much more easy to find the type of builder and the type of development that you want. Whereas in the old days, you were almost governed by where your local, it was the luck of the draw. So now maybe there's a little bit more.
You go and drive around the area to find where the sites were in the first place. Whereas we're just a click of the button away, really, in terms of search and data and price. You download locations, price lists, specifications, the brochures straight off.
Is that something you think has affected the market positively? I mean, in terms of your awareness and your career, let's say? Even.
Oh God! Well, over the years I've been involved in the house building industry. Traditionally, in advertising for a company such as ourselves, it was predominantly in local newspapers. Very small part of our advertising profile now.
So the digital, it's all digital now?
Yeah. Not quite totally all, but we will be there shortly.